Have you ever seen something so small, so gentle, that it shook your soul? Far from the tropics, in a quiet Russian town wrapped in snow, lived Elena, 62, a retired teacher. Her apartment was silent, just the ticking of an old clock and the whisper of winter through cracked windows. Her husband was gone. Her students were grown, and for the first time, she realized silence could feel heavier than grief. One evening, she scrolled through YouTube and saw a young Filipino boy stand up to give a seat to an old woman on a crowded jeepney. No applause, no music, just kindness. Real, ordinary, beautiful. That small act followed her for days, until one morning she did something even she couldn't explain. She booked a one-way ticket to the Philippines. Cue hopeful music, sound of plane taking off. When she landed in Manila, the heat nearly took her breath away. A young man smiled and said softly, "Welcome po." That one word, po. So simple, but it melted something frozen inside her. That night, she wrote in her journal, "In Russia, people respect titles, but here, they respect hearts." She didn't know it yet, but that single word po would soon change the way she saw the entire world. Fade out, soft piano with line on screen. Sometimes the warmest place on earth isn't a country, it's the kindness of its people. It was her third morning in Manila. Elena decided to go out. Just walk, no plan, no map. The streets were alive. Vendors calling out, children laughing, the smell of roasted corn and mangoes in the air. It was loud, chaotic, and yet somehow peaceful. She entered a small public market, unsure, shy. An old vendor waved, "Ma'am, come, try this banana Q." Elena smiled nervously. She didn't even know what banana Q was, just that it looked golden, sweet, and dripping with sugar. When she handed the man a few pesos, he laughed, "No, no, ma'am. First taste, free." She blinked. Free. In her world, nothing was free. But here, people gave without reason. She took a bite. Warm. Soft. Sweet. Like the first taste of a forgotten childhood. Then a little girl tugged her sleeve. "Lola, you look like snow." Everyone laughed. So did Elena. Really laughed, after years of silence. That night she wrote in her journal, "Kindness is a language. You don't need to speak it. You just need to feel it." Cue gentle guitar and laughter fading out. She didn't know it yet, but the Philippines wasn't just changing her, it was healing her. The rain came suddenly, as it always does in Manila. Elena stood by the roadside, no umbrella, just watching. A tricycle stopped. "Ma'am, sake po, you'll get wet," the driver called. She hesitated, then climbed in. Inside, a mother held her baby. A student stared out the window, and a stranger offered her half of his umbrella. The smell of wet earth, the warmth of bodies close together, it reminded her of life, of connection. When they reached her stop, Elena fumbled for coins, but the driver just smiled. "It's okay, po. You're my nanay for today." Something in her broke, in the best way. She felt tears mixed with the rain. "My nanay for today." No one had said something that gentle to her in years. She whispered, "Salamat po." Simple. Honest. From the heart. Soft orchestral swell. That night she wrote, "It's strange. I came here chasing the sun, but I found light in people instead." And for the first time since her husband's passing, Elena didn't feel alone anymore. Fade out with rain sound and on-screen line, "Home isn't a place, it's where someone calls you family, even for a day." Elena took a small bus to a village hours away from the city, invited by a young vendor she met at the market. The bus was old, its windows stuck half open, and the road twisted through green hills that seemed to breathe. When they arrived, the air smelled of rice fields and rain. Children ran barefoot, chasing kites made of plastic bags. A grandmother waved from her bamboo porch. "Elena, come, come, you eat first." Before she could protest, a plate of adobo appeared in her hands, and someone placed a flower behind her ear. No questions, no judgment, just welcome. Later that day she watched as the neighbors lifted a small nipa hut together, laughing, sweating, singing. "What are they doing?" she asked. "Bayanihan po," someone answered. "Helping each other. It's how we live." She stood still. In Russia, she had lived surrounded by walls. Here, she was surrounded by people. That evening, she joined them, passing wood, sharing water, laughing under the orange sun. Soft guitar and gentle wind. In her journal that night, she wrote, "They built a house together, and somehow they built a home in me too. Fade out with fireflies and children's laughter. Some strangers don't just enter your life, they rebuild it with their bare hands." Weeks passed. Elena had stopped counting the days. She no longer felt like a visitor. She felt like someone who had simply come home after a long journey. One quiet evening, she sat by the window of her small rented room, pen in hand, writing a letter to her late husband. "My dear Alexei, I found a place where people smile even when life is hard. They share food before they share names. They say po and opo with love, not formality. You would have liked it here." Her hand trembled as she wrote. Tears fell, but this time, they weren't lonely tears. They were grateful ones. Outside, a young boy knocked softly. "Lola Elena, we made you pantsit." She laughed through her tears. Even in grief, life had found her again. She looked up at the stars and whispered, "Maybe warmth isn't lost after all. Maybe it just moved here." Emotional piano swells that night. She didn't finish the letter. She didn't need to, because she finally understood. Love doesn't end. It just changes its address. Fade out with candlelight and text on screen. When you give your heart to kindness, the world gives it back, in ways you never imagined. Every afternoon, Elena walked to the small village school, not to teach, just to sit outside and watch the children sing the alphabet in English and Tagalog. One boy always caught her eye, thin, quiet, wearing slippers held together with tape, but every time their eyes met, he smiled. Wide, pure, fearless. One day she asked, "Why don't you wear shoes?" He shrugged. "They broke, Po. It's okay. My feet already know the road." Those words struck her like a whisper from heaven. The next morning, she went to the market, bought a small pair of black shoes, and placed them outside the classroom door. No note, no name. When the boy found them, he ran out screaming, "Lola Elena! It fits! It fits!" The whole class clapped. She laughed, covering her face as tears rolled down. That night she wrote in her journal, "In a world full of cold hearts, this child taught me what real warmth is. Gratitude. Cue gentle strings. She came here searching for love. But instead, love found her. Fade out with children's laughter and sunlight through trees. Sometimes the smallest act of giving becomes someone's first reason to dream." The village was alive that night. Lanterns floated on the river, and children danced with firecrackers in their hands. Elena stood among them, holding a small paper lantern. A young mother told her, "Write a wish, Lola. The wind will carry it to heaven." She smiled and wrote, "Thank you for giving me another chance to feel alive." As she released the lantern, it rose slowly, glowing against the dark sky. And for a moment, she felt her husband beside her, smiling. The young vendor from the market appeared and said softly, "Lola, the light looks like your heart, still bright after all the storms." She laughed, but her eyes glistened. Maybe this was what she had been searching for. Not a country, not a cure, but peace. Soft flute and drums fade together. That night, she danced with the children under the stars, barefoot, free, radiant. In their joy, she wrote later, "I found my youth again." Fade out, fireworks and glowing sky. You are never too old to feel young again. You just need people who remind you how. Weeks turned to months. Elena's visa was ending. It was time to go home. The village gathered at the bus stop, children holding flowers, the boy with the new shoes clutching her hand. "Lola, don't forget us," he said. She smiled. "How could I? You are the reason I still believe in tomorrow." As the bus started, she looked out the window, people waving, laughing, crying, and realized, maybe this wasn't goodbye. She reached for her journal one last time. "I came here with an empty heart. I leave with one so full, it could light the world." When she landed back in Russia, the snow was falling again, but this time, it didn't feel cold. Because inside her, the Philippines was still shining. Piano swells softly. She whispered to herself, "Maraming salamat, my second home." Fade out. Snowy window turns to warm sunlight. Kindness has no borders. Love speaks every language. When Elena returned to Moscow, the city's gray chill felt different. It no longer felt oppressive. It felt like a canvas waiting for a new color. She was determined not to let the warmth she had found in the Philippines fade away. She started with small, conscious acts. She began to truly see the people around her. She smiled at the cashier in the grocery store and asked her how her day was going. She held the door open for a young mother struggling with a stroller. She made a point to call her children, not just to check in, but to tell them how much she valued them. At first, her actions were met with surprise, even a little suspicion, but Elena persisted, armed with the gentle power she had learned. She started a small weekly gathering in her apartment for other widows and older women from her neighborhood. She called it her Filipino tea party. Slowly, something beautiful began to happen. The women started practicing what Elena called Filipino respect with each other. They were creating their own ripple effect of kindness, starting from Elena's small apartment.